And
What's
we're
next?
live because we're already talking.
Oh wow.
And Jeff, I just needed to record Jeff.
Yeah. Well, so you caught me while I'm talking.
Yeah, I tried to catch you mid-sentence there.
Oh great. You can't. Dude.
Sure, that adds like a realism to this.
Yeah. That is realism. Preacher man just kind of rambles on, and
Yeah.
you just kind of fade in and out.
He tends to do that.
Well, welcome to Spiritual Defense, everybody. It's been a couple of weeks because of Thanksgiving and just life happening while you're making other plans, and so we pray that your Thanksgiving was great, and that the life is treating you good wherever you may be. I am sitting here with the Podmaster Extraordinaire Arnold Martinez, and I am Jeff Laplace, and it's great having you with us today. Arnold, how in the world are you?
I'm great actually. Granted, my I hurt my foot again. It's just so everyone knows. I wasn't doing any sports. I was working, and I guess I thought I was Spider-Man, and obviously I'm not Spider-Man, so I can't jump anymore. I can't jump off things. I'm getting old and brittle.
No, it's that's what they say about falling. It's not the fall that hurts you, or it's not the fall that kills you. It's the sudden stop.
Ooh.
So you just gotta watch what you're jumping onto. And
Yeah, it was dark. Granted, I shouldn't have been hopping off anything.
Yeah,
I was just in a rush to get everything done.
Well, who can blame you? Because you told me that was like a 12-hour day.
Yeah, and it happened at the very end of the day.
I know, friends, this might be annoying when you come into a conversation with Arnold and I. We sometimes start the story in the middle, but Arnold was actually working on a commercial for some folk, and we apparently found out. What did you tell Sherry the other day, my wife, that it's like you can film for 12 hours for like a 30-second commercial, basically?
Yeah.
I mean,
Basically.
that's crazy. But anyway, so it's at the end of a 12-hour day. You're packing up, trying to get ready to go. You're just trying to go home. And so in order to save some time, you decide to jump off what and onto what?
Just we have a U-Haul truck. So just the top, just like it's like a 3-foot little hop.
Right.
But like it was dark, and like I fell on the ground and onto one of those parking blocks. So my foot
uneven.
rolled. Yeah, so it's just uneven, and it was one of the things where at first I was like, I got this, and I started limping away and just realized that this is gonna hurt tomorrow morning. But yeah, so but today has been good.
I remember there was one time when I was in high school, right, and it was the beginning of the season, and our wrestling room was one of the rooms that was on the loading dock that we had for the school. So it's like a legit loading dock for a big truck. So you have it's like a 5-foot tall cement wall with the metal in front of it, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm a young, agile 18-year-old, right? And so I was like, well, I'm just gonna, instead of taking the stairs like a sensible person, I decided, well, I'm just gonna run and just vault this thing and just pop up. Like like Jackie Chan or something. And so I run and I vault up and I slam my right knee right into that metal, Nice. And I'm like, and it tickled.
It tickled, yeah.
And I stumble into the wrestling room and just fall down on my back. And coach is like, well, you got a week to get over it. Let's go.
That's right. That's how I feel.
And I was that was when I was 18. I was like, oh, smack. So that was like, yep, okay, you still gotta watch yourself, But I was fine. But, there was obviously some bruising, but that was it. I wore like a little soft brace for a little bit, but that was it. But yeah, and it doesn't take long. I mean, you can feel tough, you can feel strong until just something happens.
Yeah.
And and then you're just like, ow. By the way, you're supposed to be putting your foot up in this chair, I believe.
Yeah.
So
it's just the word angle.
Yeah, okay. Well, there it is.
There you go.
But anyway, I mean, that's the thing is you just you just don't know, and all of a sudden you're just smacked upside the head with pain and wondering how in the world it happened.
Yep.
So
yeah.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad though you hurt yourself after you graduated. Friends and neighbors, the other day Arnold got to walk the stage for his college
that's right.
degree, even though he technically finished
in the summer.
So
I get to walk in December.
Yes. Yeah. So it would have been a longer walk.
It could have been a shorter one had I showed up on time.
Well, that was yes, but there is no on time in the valley, you know.
Yeah, no kidding.
But anyway, but congratulations on
Thank
that.
you.
That's a big accomplishment. So tell me, now that you are officially a college graduate, even though you've been a college graduate for almost 6 months, give or take, you've walked. So what was it like to walk?
I didn't want to walk, and I still stick by to the idea that I don't know, like it wasn't really important to me. And it was nice. Like it was nice. It was fun. It was a fun day. Don't get me wrong. I had fun, and it was a good day, and I thank God for that day. But like, I'm sitting around just waiting for them to call my name. Like literally, I don't know anyone else that's there. Like I had no friends in my graduating class really, because I'm older than all of them, and most of the time, like, I was already working, so. But yeah, it was a cool day to have my parents excited about it and stuff like that. And but like I told you, like before, like what was all the speeches were about the new beginning, your new step forward, your new foot forward. I'm like, well, my new beginning was when I got baptized. Right. So I'm just like, yeah, this is just an accomplishment or just something to put up on the wall for me, really.
Well, I have to be honest with you because we were actually late.
Uh-huh.
So, because we got there a little bit late, and they totally didn't tell anybody until they got up to the front door that ladies, you're not allowed to bring your purses in.
Yeah.
So
Oh, wow.
I had to that. Yeah, I mean,
You had to, go back to
yeah.
the car and put it
So
in
for
place.
you've been he graduated from Bird Ogden Arena, which if you're from the Valley, that's like in Edinburgh and off the highway off 281. But if you're not from here, it's not an enormous arena, but it's a good size for what we got down here. But still, you have to park a ways over. So we get out of the car, we walk to the front, and we're about to walk into the door, and then someone's like, you can't bring your purse in there. And so I took it back, which I'm like, can you not tell us a little bit before we get to the front door that we're not allowed to bring our bags? I mean, that's fine, security, but it's like, let somebody know.
No.
So we had to go back. My family waited for me to go back, come back, go through security and get there. So I think by the time we actually got inside, the speechmaker was wrapping up. So we actually didn't hear any of the speeches.
Yeah, like the way I felt, like it didn't, like none of the speeches really pertain to me in general. Like they were like trying to be more general, like towards like college student, the normal everyday college student. But I'm like, dude, like a lot of those people were like way younger, and then I'm thinking, well, what about like the older people? Like I saw like an older gentleman walking with me too, and I'm like, well, his new beginning probably started long ago.
Yeah, he was like I think I saw him. He was like a row or two ahead of you.
Yeah. So I'm just like, what new beginning is there for him? Like maybe he's already working. Maybe he just wants something. It's like, he's already going. We're already going. That's what I think. So the speeches could have been more personal. I think.
Do you think it would have been personal or more personal if you were like 22 or 23? Hearing that message of
possibly
new beginning.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Now that I think about it, that's what it was really, and that's what I thought about too. Because I'm just like, well, yeah, like, and that's why I felt, me personally, why I wasn't very interested. It's like, okay. Yeah. By the way, I didn't get my gown till the day of.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't.
Dude, we didn't even get invited until the day before.
I didn't RSVP till like the week of, and that's because RSVPs were shut. They were over like back in November. Yeah. So like I didn't have my picture up there or like a whatever inspirational quote, whatever they were doing. Like I just like walked up, got it, or not even get it because I already had my diploma. I just took that picture. Yeah. So they could say my name and everyone can cheer for me for like 5 seconds.
Well, we were able to scoot down for your graduation because the way they do graduations a lot better than they used to do back in the day. Like when Sherry graduated college,
you had to wait for everyone.
Yeah, you had to wait for everybody. Basically, that was like the polite thing to do. Whereas,
and then everyone throws their hats up in the air.
We couldn't do that in high school because they weren't our hats. We had to return all that stuff so we can actually get our diploma. But anyway, so Arnold calls us like literally the day before. It's like, hey man, what do you got going tomorrow? Well, it's like, well, we got a men's thing in the morning. Besides that, I think it was like, well, I'm walking tomorrow. Would you like to go? So it's like, at least 12 hours before, and just that's as excited as he sounded. So it was like you wanted to be there, but on the other side, you're like, yeah,
Well, it's only fun for me if like people like you were there.
Yeah.
But like I only had 9 tickets, so I mean, I had 9 friends who probably could have gone, but like they went to my family anyway.
Yeah.
It's just like more fun for them.
Right.
And that's how it is down here. In general, you pretty much do everything for your parents down here.
Well, it's all an industry. We talked about this, but for example, my kids, I have a 17-year-old son and a 15-year-old daughter. And when they graduated, okay, when they graduated from preschool, ladies and gentlemen, Milo School in Deming, New Mexico, they had a graduation ceremony, complete with cap and gowns, in preschool.
Yeah.
Preschool
That's funny.
cap and gowns. It looked like a graduation ceremony for Oompa Loompas. I mean, it's like, because you just see these little caps and they're at least at everybody's waist. I mean, that's what it is. I mean, and it's crazy. I mean, but they do that, because you have to pay for the rental. You can get the pictures and the picture package and the whole thing. I remember like my own life. The first time I was offered the opportunity to get a class ring.
When you were 11.
I don't know, 8th grade.
8th grade.
Whatever,
Yeah, same here. Yeah, 13.
Old.
Same
Okay.
here. I have a class ring.
Do you?
From middle school. That's the only class ring I've ever had.
My parents said no. No, I got a senior class ring. My parents like, no, you're not getting a class ring for your 8th grade
middle school.
year. Are you kidding me? That's senior year stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't do that. I didn't do that for high school or college. Like,
Right.
I don't have a class ring. Like, I don't like rings.
Well, I liked my senior classroom in high school. Mine was pretty cool. I was able to get a wrestler on the side of it, and but it had a dark blue jewel, but it was like chrome and black. I really liked it. But
They're nice, but I don't like wearing them.
Yeah, but that was the thing. It's a complete industry.
Yeah.
The rings and the pictures
they're
and
just trying to sell it.
yeah. I mean, it's like quinceañeras down here.
Yeah.
I was talking to a mutual friend of ours once, and they were talking about, they asked us if we were going to give Sydney a quinceañera. And since she's 15, it's like, no, we didn't do that. We did like a coming of age ceremony when she turned 13, when she entered into the teenage world. But quinceañeras, obviously down here in South Texas, is like a major thing.
Yeah.
And again, it's a whole industry surrounding that. I've never seen so many banquet halls as down in the Rio Grande Valley. No joke. I mean, they're like everywhere down here. And, I've never seen so many DJs and bands and just all these things, that are geared towards celebration is down along the Texas-U.S. the Texas-Mexico border. And, the thing about it is our friend was telling me is like, he did quinceañeras for his daughter. It cost like $10,000, right? And I was like, wow, that's a lot of money. He's like, no. I was like, what do you mean, no? He said they knew friends that would spend like $30,000 or $40,000
Wow.
on the quinceañera. Wow. And not a lot of people down here make tons of money, but they still drop that kind of stuff for these celebrations, for these coming of ages, for this stuff. It's like, we are now launching you into life, and it's like, okay, but what about the morning after? I mean, it's...
Well, when it's all done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, now, like, I think about how people do weddings, too.
Yes. Weddings
I was
is another
watching
big
a
one.
commercial for these wedding planners. There are 3 wedding planners, and they're going to do, like, who can make the best wedding for these people. And, like, these people come up with, like, budgets, like $20,000. And they want, like, a bunch of cool stuff. And they're like, $20,000. Can we do it for $100,000? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
$100,000 for a wedding?
Yeah.
For like a wedding day, dude? Like,
Yeah.
eesh.
Yeah. I say I don't want to be offensive on the show.
Yeah,
but
I'm just saying. Well,
no,
that's a big number.
No, it's not that. It's like wedding plan. The whole wedding planning thing. Weddings, the way that weddings are done. Because again, weddings are like quinceañeras, like graduations, like anything else. It's turned into an industry.
Yeah.
And when things become industry, when things become about the extravagance, it loses the meaning. That's why it's like when I perform a marriage ceremony, I try to I don't want to say I beg, but I really strongly suggest the couples, like, you need to do some premarital counseling. You need to focus, you're focusing on the napkins and the food and then who's going to sit by who and the unity candle and the music and blah, 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 blah. And you're not focusing on you two becoming one. And when you get back from the honeymoon, you got to make this thing work now. And because you're always focusing about the wedding. So take some time to truly get ready for what is coming up next. And that is life together. Okay. And so that's how come it's so heartbreaking when my mother was a private nanny before she retired, and she went to a wedding back about the year 2000 or so. And so this is about the year $2,000, right? in terms of money. And she went to a wedding in which the wedding cake, just the wedding cake, nothing but the wedding cake, cost $10,000.
What?
Yes.
I thought it was like $500.
No, $10,000. Well, where I come from, down here, you can get a nanny for cheap, right? Well, up in the Dallas area, it's only the people who are a bit more wealthy can afford to have a private nanny. So it was like a big money bonanza. So $10,000 for the wedding cake. And it was just like, wow. But again, okay, fine. That cake still went bad eventually. If it didn't all get eaten.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. And so now you've come of age, Arnold. You've graduated and walked to college. Now you are accomplished.
Yeah, no kidding.
Now you can really start your new life.
Now I'm smart. Yeah.
Okay, so you talked about, so you compared that, and you mentioned it earlier, but you said your real coming of life or changing in direction of life, starting of a new life was
when I got baptized.
Okay, so it was when you got baptized. So why was that more important than your graduation?
Because that was something I wanted to do. Like, that was something, like, obviously that was a very important decision for me to really, like, starting a new life isn't starting a new job, isn't going for the money or saying, like, I'm going to set this goal or this goal. It's like, for me, starting a new life was turning away from the old life, right? And success is, now to me, is getting into heaven. Or, like, not getting into heaven. It's, like, obtaining the kingdom of heaven, especially on earth.
Right.
Which is, like, that's the best way to put it. But for me, it's just, like, having, the fruits of the Spirit that we talk about all the time. Having peace on earth, or joy, patience, and kindness, and self-control. And, just... What else am I missing?
Okay, there's 9 of them.
There's
love, joy,
okay.
Peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control.
So, right. To me, having all that is a part of having heaven on earth.
Right.
Like, finding it on earth.
Right.
Because, like, it's not like, I'm going to get into this place or not. We can't. I'm not trying to live faithfully just because I think I'm going to get in somewhere.
Right.
Right. It's a whole feeling of living. Just like having joy or complete joy in life. Like, that's something that you have to work on spiritually. Having spiritual things is something you have to work on.
Right.
And that's why, like, when I decided to get baptized, that's what I said. Like, that's what I'm deciding to do. Is work on everything spiritually, to be disciplined, like, spiritually, like, as disciplined as I am in my physical endeavors, like jujitsu, or like right now it's jujitsu, and, like, I actually parallel a lot of what's happening in jujitsu to my spiritual kind of walk or battle, or
right.
It's just like it's helping me learn what endurance is. It's helping me learn what patience is. It's helping me learn, how to take a hit when things aren't going your way.
Yeah.
And walk with it and live with it and just, like, rise above and look towards God instead of, holding on to the world, where, like, on a normal, if I didn't have God and I used jujitsu was my God, if I was hurt, it would really bother me. I'd be like, oh no, I can't go to the mats today. Yeah. Right? No, it's just like, well, I can't go to the mats today. Oh well.
Yeah.
Like, what else can I do today? Obviously, I'm not glorifying God on the mats today. If I was, but that's all I can really hope is, like, when I'm there, the things that I do discipline wise or sportsmanship likewise, that people look at that and see that as some sort of light, that it's like, oh, what's different about this guy? And, I can glorify God in certain ways there.
Right.
Because sometimes, like I said, like they'll see or they'll ask like what I do, and I get to like drop my spirituality and my relationship with God and how it's helped me. And, sometimes they're interested most of the time.
Right. Well, I mean, Paul used boxing. Paul would use boxing in his writings. I'm not saying Paul was a boxer, but I mean, but he would compare it to that physical mentality that goes into sports. And he's like, when I'm working, I'm not boxing like just someone swinging at the air. These days they call it being punch drunk. I was like, I'm not just swinging and wearing myself out. I'm doing stuff with purpose. I'm disciplining my body. I'm beating my body, making my body my slave, so that I can, do better in the spiritual walk. It's about that discipline. It's about that mindset, about that mentality of victory. It's like when you go into a physical pursuit, you have to have that mentality that, you're going to win. Or if you don't win, you're going to force your opponent to have to beat you. I'm not just going to roll over and let them do it. I mean, if they, it's like when I wrestled in high school, I was far from being undefeated. It's like my first year, it stunk. My first year absolutely stunk. I won like 1 or 2 matches, and the rest were by forfeits, as far as victories go. But the thing about it was like, can you have the mentality that when you go out onto the mat or onto the court or whatever it is that you're doing, it's like if you lose that day, it's because they had to beat you. Yeah. It's like they had to bring their A game.
You don't give it to them.
Yeah, and it's like, and that's the thing, as I forget, I think it might have been Joe Montana, but he said something along the lines of, my goal is just to be able to look at the mirror afterwards and just know that I did the absolute best I could. Yeah. And if somebody was better that day, it's like, it's no skin off my nose. They had to earn it, and so that's cool, man. But the thing about it is that Saturday, you actually walked up 2 stages.
Oh, that's
that
right.
day. Yes.
Oh, yeah,
we had a next door to the Mission, McAllen, Edinburgh, Far area is the town of Weslaco, Texas, which is again along the Texas-Mexico border. And the Bridge Avenue Church of Christ had a men's fellowship devotional time there, in which we had representation from the North Mission Church of Christ, where Arnold and I go, the Bridge Avenue Church of Christ in Weslaco, and also the Far Church of Christ. And so we had a bunch of guys get together that day, and it was just singing praises to God, praying, delivering short devotional messages, and again, it went for like a couple of hours, and it was really a cool thing to see. And on that day, we had again, part of our group from North Mission, Arnold was there, and also another friend of ours, Juan Carlos, who was back from the Marine Corps for a little bit. He was there too, and both of them went up to the front, gave a testimonial about their spiritual walk, because they're both new in the faith, and then led a song. And again, we were just proud of y'all. That was awesome. So how was like Saturday morning different from like Saturday evening when you walked the stage?
Saturday evening, okay, well, I mean, I can't not reiterate that it really didn't mean much to me. Like walking on it, just I'm like, oh, cool, all right, I'm here. But like even like on Saturday morning, it was more towards like, see, I wanted to go. Yeah, I went like, no, like you said, no one made me go up. I'm just like, I was looking around, and I didn't feel the pressure. Like I said, like before I had made my comments in the men's group, I told the men like, well, normally on these mornings, when we're talking, I just tell them, I tell the guys what's happening during my week, and how like, how I reflect when how it pertains to following God or glorifying God. And so I told you the story about a couple of friends who I got to answer questions about the Bible or talk to them about my faith, and I count that as a win in my book, or as a prayer answered, because I often just be like, well, God, whenever that moment arises, let me be able to do what I need to do, right? Say what I need to say, type deal. So the moral of that story was that normally people are always wanting to know or hear these things, and even one of the men afterwards, he added something that was really cool that I should have touched on, but you never, I wasn't prepared. But
Yeah.
something that's pretty cool was like you gotta look for those opportunities too, and that's something like like I definitely like try to look for the opportunity or bring it up, or when there's the chance to bring it up. It's always a should I bring it up or should I say it, and opt for I'm gonna say it this way, like, or I'm gonna speak up on my spirituality.
Right.
So, but when you do, most people are very receptive. They're looking for God, they're looking for love, they're looking for something real, they're looking for truth. And I told the men's group, I often just, especially right now because I'm new, like I just remember what it's like. I remember what it feels like to be looking. Not that I'm an expert or that I think I got it made, but like better than I was.
Yeah.
Obviously. So, I was just, I told you, like, you can see it on people's faces sometimes, when they're having a bad day.
Were you nervous going up there?
Kinda. It was exciting.
Yeah.
It was like not nervous, like an exciting kind of nervous, like not like I hope I do good.
No.
Like no, it was like
No.
I don't care. Like I wasn't concerned if I was gonna bomb. I didn't think I was gonna bomb. Like that didn't cross my mind.
Well,
the idea of what even
bombing
is
is
what even
relative,
yeah,
yeah.
it's like what even is bombing, like
Yeah.
when you're surrounded by like-minded people like that,
Right.
who are just like trying to worship, trying to glorify God, and just looking for encouragement, which is what I saw. People were just looking for encouragement.
Right. And the gentleman, if it's the guy who was talking about how whatever you do in life, view yourself as somebody who will always be serving the church. Serving the Lord, serving the church. Part-time preachers, part-time Bible class teachers, and whatnot. Is that what you're that talk?
Well, that talk. No, wait, who was that?
That was the guy at the end.
Oh, at the end.
Yeah.
Was he the one who came up to me?
I think everybody came.
I can't remember anymore.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so there was like I said, there was a few wonderful talks.
Yeah, no.
that were going on that day.
Well, I wanted to touch on what Juan Carlos said because it kind of goes back to what we're talking about, endurance. We've talked about endurance before in sports.
Yeah.
But and I just want to touch on it right now, just because I remember what Juan Carlos said about his basic training or his training and how that also helped him understand what it means to endure,
Right.
what it means to go through some tough stuff,
Yeah.
and think about how God or how Jesus Christ went through a lot of tough stuff, and kind of deal. But yeah, it was a great Saturday. Like
I was about to say, tell the story. Are you?
what Juan Carlos had talked about?
Yeah, I thought that's what you were
That
going
was
to do.
the gist of it.
Yeah.
That was the gist of it. How because he was going through the crucible. From what I can remember, the crucible was just like 4 hours of sleep and like all day
Yeah,
training.
it's like 12-mile hike with a 120-pound pack on your back, up hills made out of sand.
Yeah.
So
it
it's
sounds fun, actually. I mean, how long was it? Like a week long?
It was like a week or two.
Yeah, it really sounds kind of cool. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm sure like while you're in it, it's hard, but
Right.
like it sounds like one of those life-defining kind of ordeals. I don't know,
Right.
like I can do this kind of thing.
Right.
But and it helped him, like he said, like because while he was in it, he thought about what Christ went through. Through everything, even the 3 days from the 3 days in the desert to even being on the cross, and how he thought like, well, if Christ could do it,
Right.
Well,
the word crucible.
yeah.
I mean, hello,
Yeah.
that's where that comes from, the word crucify,
Right.
or crucifixion.
There
Just like excruciate is literally means like out of the cross. So I mean, these words that we use, I mean, they have meanings that tie back to the crucifixion. But I mean, talking about this coming of age, or not coming of age, but turning over a new leaf, starting a new path. I mean, this is why like we have the beginning of the Gospels. It's particularly like Matthew, Luke, and John. Mark kind of skips over the beginning and jumps into the ministry of Jesus and gets us up and going. But when you read about like Jesus finding Peter, James, and John, in particularly, James and John is a really good example. I used this the other day with somebody.
The sons of Zebedee.
Yeah, the sons of Zebedee. Again, top marks, and they were all fishermen. right? And now we found out from John that some of the first followers of Jesus were followers of John the Baptist. So you got to remember that, because it helps Matthew and Luke to make a little bit more sense. They would listen to John the Baptist, and John the Baptist was proclaiming the Messiah, and again there came a point in which John was literally pointing out Jesus as, the Lamb of God who comes to take away the sin of the world. And so when Jesus comes up to James and John and just says, "Follow me," we're told that they leave their dad Zebedee, and they go and follow Jesus, and they don't go back to fishing as a commercial enterprise ever again. I always say that because they might have needed lunch one day, so they might have just went to go fish for a little bit. But anyway, they didn't do it as a livelihood, is what I'm trying to say. They forever became like followers of Jesus and sharers of the gospel. They became lifelong apostles. And so the thing about it is Jesus just comes up to you and just says, "Follow me," and that's it. And it's like, but this is what I am. I'm a fisherman in their case. It's like this is what I am. And it's like, no, when Jesus calls us, he calls us out of what we are to become what he wants us to be, or the better form of ourselves.
Yeah.
And there we're given an opportunity, we're given a choice to be able to change. The nature of the gospel is change. To become something more than what we are.
Yeah.
And that's what James and John and Peter and the rest of them had. Jesus did the same thing with Matthew at the tax collector's booth. Just walks up to his booth and says, "Follow me," and then leaves the ball in Matthew's court. And it's like, well, what's he going to do? And when they decide to get up and leave, to leave everything they know in order to follow Jesus, and at that time, all they know about Jesus is, okay, he's a good speaker, he's a worker of good, okay. In other words, I doubt they knew where. In fact, I know they didn't know where this was going to lead, because they still didn't understand Jesus all the way up to the night when he was betrayed. They're still arguing over who's the best disciple. So there was still so much about Jesus they didn't understand until the resurrection of Jesus, but yet they left, and it became something new. That was the start of their new life, and so I think it shows a great sign of maturity. How you recognize that the start of your new life was your baptism, not necessarily your graduation walk. Now, you got your diploma back this summer, or whenever it came out. Did you feel any different? I mean, you get your diploma in the mail.
No.
I mean, what was that like?
I mean,
you took a picture of it and posted it on Facebook,
but that's it. It's not currently not framed.
Oh, really? It's
still in its little strict cylinder thing.
I know there was
like a toilet paper roll.
I know. I was thinking. I was like, I asked Sherry. I said, "Are they giving these people PVC pipe?" I mean,
yeah.
What is?
Well, that's a fancier cylinder than what they mailed it in.
Well, I mean, I remember the graduations I've seen. When I saw Sherry, they gave you like the leather bound folder thing.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I know. They give you all it was like something that you mailed posters into what they gave you. The little cardboard tube things.
Yeah. No, it was. That's why I just like, really, this is it. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for taking my money.
I joked with your dad. I said, because somebody asked, if you actually had anything in there. I was like, yeah, it's probably the bill to his college.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so again, you look at these aspects of your life. What really did start off your new life? Versus these trappings of the world. I mean, because the world tries to do it, but again, it just.
I mean, if you heard I'm gonna call it propaganda of the speeches of these people at college, they're like, like I told you before, like it felt like a cult. I mean, it kind of feels like a cult.
Which is ironic, because that's what some people call churches.
Yeah, it totally felt like, you're gonna represent us. You're gonna come back. You're this forever. Like all this stuff.
Yeah.
And they're trying to define people. They're trying to get you to remember, like, you're defined by where you go, how you utilize this, what we taught you.
Well,
that defines your life.
I've been out of college a little bit more than you, but the thing is like what they're trying to do also is trying to get you involved in the alumni association.
Yeah.
So then you will also kick money back to the school.
Yeah. Not gonna happen.
But you're absolutely right. I was. It's that's the thing with schools these days. It's like, what's most important is making the school look good.
Yeah.
Regardless of what level of school you're in, it's all about making the school look good. That's how come. like they do so much testing as they do. That's how come it's.
Yeah.
We held our son back one year. You know, when he was in second grade, he had to redo the second grade, and we don't regret that at all. He just needed another year to bake, you know, to mature a little bit. But you know, and this is when we lived in Oklahoma. But oh my goodness sakes, I remember when I was a kid, it was like a threat. Like if you don't pass your classes, you'll get held back.
Yeah.
You know, you can flunk a grade and have to repeat the grade if you don't.
Yeah.
But these days,
They'll
no,
pass you
they
through.
bend over backwards in order to try to get everybody to move along.
Yeah.
You know, and because we can't have kids held
No
back.
kid
It'll
left
make
behind.
the kids no kid left behind because it'll make the school look bad.
Yeah.
You know, so and this is how come in one one of the states in America, it's like we have graduates, only 30% of all the high school graduates in one of our states can read. It's like, how is it that they can graduate high school and not know
They
how to
can't
read?
read. Yeah.
Well, we can't hold them back. That
Yeah.
makes everybody look bad. So we push
Yeah.
them along, push them along, push them along. And then, you know, the administrators and principals and deans, if you get up to college and all this, like, look at how great we are. Look at how wonderful we are. And again, it's all about them, whereas they're just doing everything they can so that not to look bad.
Yeah.
And so by the time you get to the end of it, it feels fake. I still remember when I experienced this was at my high school graduation. You know, you remember high school. You know, I've asked tons of people, tons of adults in my life. It's like, who wishes they could go back to high school? Everybody says, oh, no. You know, nobody
I hope
wants
they
to
say
go
no.
back to high school. If you're listening to this and you're in high school, I mean, it's yeah, nobody wants to go back to where you are. Okay, but it's a mess. But the thing about it is like after at my graduation. When you walk across that stage, when you shook the hand of the principal and you got your diploma holder and everything else, and you get to the end of that stage and you walk down, they take your picture and you go back to your seat. You feel it, and you realize how much of this stuff just does not matter.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it
It's a
doesn't
quote
matter.
unquote rite of passage, but like
Yeah.
it's like the same thing as a quinceañera. I mean, it's just like
Yeah.
you're putting all that on your own. Like
Right.
you're putting the value on it yourself.
Yeah, it's
And
like, after you graduate high school, it's like, who cares who your friend, who cares like what you were, the label that you wore in high school. Who cares if you were part of the in crowd or the out crowd? Those who were in the in crowd, who cares you were in the in crowd? Because guess what? We're not here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That stuff's over, and just who cares what sports you played? I
Mm-hmm.
remember I had a Letterman jacket in high school. I lettered in wrestling, so I got my jacket. Which I tell you what, man, those suckers are great jackets.
Oh, I love my Letterman. I love how it feels.
Yeah, I
don't
I
like
kept
how
it.
it looks.
I took that sucker with me to New Mexico because they have winters out there,
Yeah.
and that was like the heaviest jacket I had. So
Yeah.
I didn't care if it was like the year 2004 and 5. I was wearing my Letterman jacket that said 94 to 98. I didn't care because it was warm. But the thing about it was, and I still remember this, I was so excited about getting my Letterman jacket that I got it a size up so that I could still wear it in case I put on a little weight and as an adult, I could
Nice.
still fit into my Letterman jacket. And
That's
I can
pretty
still
cool.
fit in my Letterman jacket. Thank you. But I tried to wear that. I wore that thing like one day at SFA. Stephen F. Austin State University in Nacogdoches, Texas. Go
Whoop.
Jacks. And guess what? You get ridiculed if you wear a high school jacket to
So
college
stupid.
because nobody
Why'd you spend?
cares.
They were so expensive. I don't care what they say. I'm
I
gonna
didn't
wear
have to
it.
pay for mine because I lettered
Oh,
in my
that's right.
sport. Yes.
That's right.
I saw that eye roll.
Well, like you have
You're
to like play
jock.
for the patches.
Yeah,
you have to pay for
yeah.
the
If
patches.
you bling it out, so to speak,
Yeah.
you have to pay for all that. But the actual jacket itself,
It was
yeah,
free.
yeah,
Because I got it for band. I just 3 years in band, and you get it.
right.
Yeah. So. Woohoo.
But but that's the thing is it didn't matter.
Nah.
It didn't matter. Nobody cared, and in fact, they make fun of you for doing that because it's like that's the trappings of it's like you've moved on from that, and that's the thing is especially when you like get guys together. It might be different for women, I don't know. But when you get
Oh,
guys
they talk
together,
about the glory days.
yeah, it's like how quickly is it that you start
We
talking
talk about the glory days.
what do you talk about in high? What did you do in high school? What did you do in college? Did you serve in the military?
Yeah.
What was your first careers, whatever?
I find those conversations actually really boring.
Yeah.
I like because the guys like you get together like they'll go off on it and I'm just like, what am I gonna talk about?
Yeah.
I can talk about what I'm doing now.
Yeah. Well, the reason is people don't want to talk about what they're doing now because a lot of people aren't doing anything now.
They're not proud of what they're doing now.
Yeah.
Because they wanted something else and they're ashamed of what they're doing for whatever reason and they shouldn't be.
No, they shouldn't be. I mean,
it
it's
shouldn't be
you
at
got
all.
to embrace what you got.
Yeah.
Or they're not in as good a shape as they were back in the day, or they were some sort of sports legend or whatever back in the day, and they don't have that now, and and all this, and so it's but also they haven't found a new dragon to go off and slay. They haven't found a new quest to go off on, and that's the wonderful thing about serving the Lord is that Jesus is still calling people, come follow me. Yeah. And where is that going to lead you? Who knows where you're going to go? And that's why it's like your baptism was so exciting. That's how come I wanted to talk about you going up and you and Juan Carlos going up and taking part in that men's thing is because that's Jesus saying, come follow me. And that stuff is going to take you to more places, potentially more places and more situations than your music and sound career, than his military career, because you just never know where Jesus is going to place you, where Jesus is going to put you. And again, that's the life of adventure. That's the new beginning. To give everything you are, to dedicate everything you do to the Lord, let God take control of it, and to just steer it where He will. Yeah. So who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, I like to, sometimes, and this is kind of silly, but, because, like, reading the Old Testament, you'll get, like, the book of, Samuel, and he's the one who told it, right? So sometimes that's, like, my life, the book of Arnold. Like, what does Arnold, like, the grand scheme of Arnold's life, and, and I try to think about it like that, like, kind of like the person looking in, like, in God's perspective, like, what is he trying to call me to do? And oftentimes, like, I just, like, I like to see like, the way I see it now is if I'm, like, truly, like, honest about, like, what my life does, I'm just like, God or Jesus Christ called Arnold, and now Arnold spends most of his time reading the Bible and exercising to try to stay healthy, to try to be able to take whatever life is throwing at me. And it just, like, when I put it in some perspective like that, like, everything I do is just in order, like, God is just training me to be able to keep going.
Exactly.
Like he was training Paul. As that's how I see it, because, like, as Paul was going along in his mission, like, he would stop and he'd have to live. He'd have to live in town. He'd have to make tents. He'd have to do this. He'd have to do that. So, like, it's just the little things that I get to do along the big journey. Yeah. And that makes everything exciting.
I was talking to someone about that very thing the other day. It was like the idea of, everything you're going through in life is preparing you for the next destination. And again, this is how come it's sad when a lot of people just stop and they just kind of talk about things that happened in their 18 through 30 years, because that's when they view their life was the most exciting. And nothing exciting happens after 30 for some people, because then you fall into the thing of raising kids and just maintaining a career and just doing all that stuff, and you're focusing on this other stuff that you have to do instead of doing the things that you might want to do, so to speak. And they don't view it as exciting because they haven't dedicated to it as a mission. And then again, that's a sad way to be. And that you think your life is over. You might live until you're 80, but if you think you haven't done anything of value after the time you're about 30, I mean, that's 50 years of what? Just whatever, but we read about, like, guys like Paul, guys like Peter, guys like John, for example. John is a great example of this because he outlived all the rest of the apostles. Revelation was written in the late 90s AD. So people debate on how old the disciples were when they first walked with Jesus, and so I don't like wasting time with that stuff because who cares? But pointless debates. It's like it's opinion, whatever. I tend to believe that they were like you might say upper teenager, maybe 20 at the latest.
I always thought they were probably the same age as him, if
Like
not a
30?
little younger, like 30s or yeah. I mean,
I think they tend to be younger
right.
just because of one
Somehow.
reason is just because of how long John lived.
Okay.
You know,
That makes sense.
because of, I mean that's one thing. And again, I could be wrong. You could be wrong. We could both. Be
It's
wrong.
not even
Who
a big deal
cares?
though.
But the thing about it is like they started walking with Jesus for about the year 30 to 33 A.D. Just to put a figure on it. And John remained a faithful apostle up until the later 90s. So we're talking about 60 years.
Yeah.
It's over 60 years of serving the Lord, dedicating himself to a mission. That is a lifetime. And it was a lifetime of mission. It was a lifetime of purpose. It had its ups and downs, like everything he did. I mean, he wasn't killed by the state, so to speak. He was banished and had to go through other types of persecution, so he was still persecuted. But it was a life worth living, and that's, for me, that's what I've always wanted. I wanted at the end of the day to be living a life worth living, and so much of the world with the trappings that the world tries to throw on us is like, you got to celebrate this, or you need to be celebrated for that, you need to be celebrated for that, you need to be celebrated for that. The truth of it is like so many of those are so shallow, and they're not long lasting.
Yeah.
They had a the Huddleston, friends of ours, the Huddlestons, they went to a college graduation in the same place that you graduated in the next night.
Right.
So even the echoes of the cheers that were there for your graduation, they were faded away by the next day when the next group of graduates were in there, and it was
This
there.
is the truth.
Go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
and a week before that we had WWE wrestling.
Yeah.
So where were the cheers then?
See, I'm about to say you're trying to throw in and get a WWE plug.
Yeah, there we go. Sponsor me. No,
but that's absolutely right. It's the same place. I mean, the echoes of the crowd. One day, the echoes of the crowd fade away, and you have to get on with what real life actually is.
Yeah.
And again, like the disciples and those who dedicate themselves to following Christ, one of the benefits of that is to know you're living a life of purpose.
Yeah.
You're living a life of new beginnings if you're dedicated to the service of the Lord, regardless of how short or how long you're able to go. It has meaning.
Yeah. Yeah, because now I going on, I don't worry about accomplishments because I know that as long as I stay in doing this in ministry, that I'm always going to accomplish something with God or with the Lord. So it's one of those things that like you said, it's that dragon to slay. It gives you purpose when oftentimes we're looking for purpose,
right?
And people knock it. I know I knocked it for a while, but coming to Christ really, it really will save their lives. It really will give them the purpose that they've been looking for, and it will turn them into the person that they were always meant to be. Which is at least that's what I was told, and that's what I feel as I live, as I keep going. So,
right, and so again, that's why, that is more important than any diploma and anything that you'll get in this world, because again, all that fades away. The trophies of this life fade away. I have a sack of wrestling medals that I still have just so to use as a sermon illustration to prove this very point of I have these, and if I'm not using them in a sermon illustration, they're in a Ziploc bag in some closet. I don't even know if I know where they are right now. I knew where they were in the old house, but we moved, so I have no idea where they are. And that's it, what it is. And so again, Jesus calling out, follow me. Jesus seeking to say, don't go out catching fish anymore. I'm going to make you fishers of men. I'm going to give you a real life. I'm going to give you something that you can dedicate your skill, your talent, your entire being into, and twist it so that you can give it to the service of the Lord. And it will give you purpose and accomplishment and meaning for the rest of your entire life. And for that, we should be able to say, praise God. I have a purpose. And my purpose is to serve him.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. I said it. I don't say it enough, according to Carl.
Well,
our friend
neither do
Carl.
I, according to Carl. He even told me, he's like, I like the time you wrote about that. And it's like, I don't remember writing about that.
Oh man.
But it is what it is. I'm just,
It is.
I know it's funny. It's like I preach, but I stink at small talk, and I don't, I don't talk much,
Yeah.
So,
Well, at least we have the podcast.
that's right.
Yeah.
At least we have the podcast. So, but I guess we should wrap it up for
Yeah,
today.
that's our time.
We'll wrap it up like Arnold's ankle is wrapped up, and it's great that gets to feeling better. And Arnold, it's always great talking to you, man.
Thank you, Jeff. It's always great, and thank you everyone who's listening.
Yes, and again, as always, if you would like to contact Arnold or I with either questions, topics, just to say hi, drop in and say hi, you can find Arnold on Facebook underneath Arnold Martinez. You can find me under Jeff LaPlace. You can find our Facebook page, Spiritual Defense. You can find that online. Search that up. The newer episodes of the podcast can be found on SoundCloud. The older episodes of the podcast can be found on YouTube under North Mission Church of Christ, along with sermons and other things that go on there. So, God bless you. We thank you for joining us. Feel free to share and to get the word out for this. And God be with you. Grace and peace.